Welcome back to Minus 16, the tech podcast where we talk not only about tech, but also the business of YouTube. And if you are watching us as opposed to listening to us, you will see we have the very tanned, the man from Australia. Daniel is with us. He's making Alex and I feel extremely white and pasty at the moment.
Don't feel too bad. It is literally just sunburn and it's peeling. So we'll be back to regular programming soon. But yes, it is summer here, so bound to happen.
Looking good, mate. Looking good.
Make us feel really sick. How warm is it there at the moment?
Today got up to like 32, 33 degrees, but it's the humidity and
Very
the fact
pleasant.
that the sun just beams on you. That is the punishment. But I live by the beach, so it's not too bad.
Yeah, there's life. And you said that the test season just started out there as well. Not that we're going to talk sports. Don't go running and hiding anyone that isn't into cricket, but the test season just started as well.
It did.
Yeah. So I think we've got a fair bit to talk about. Obviously, this is kind of the quieter part of the year with no big releases coming out and so on. But certainly for you two boys, January is about to get very, very busy. So
Yes.
the big release for the flagship, because Samsung release it 2 times a year, don't they? Sort of do a release in the summertime.
It depends on what you count as a release, because they'll do 2 big flagship launches. So previously in the past it was S and Note, but now the Fold and the Flip has replaced the Note. But they also sprinkle in the A series that has a standalone launch. And last year, this year, Jesus, still 2023, the FE got its own launch as well. So technically there was 4 launches across the year, but the 2 big ones that get the big giant glitzy events is the S and the Fold. And it's one at the start, one towards the middle.
And Alex and I were talking on the last episode. Isn't the S24? Isn't this event earlier than it's ever been?
Well, that's the rumor that it is coming a bit earlier.
Come on, it's confirmed, right?
Yeah, you've got the inside scoop. Come on, tell us. We know you've got inside details. Come on.
Just judging off history, so not judging off anything that I may or may not know about what's coming. If you roll back, Samsung.
If we push him, Alex. If we push him, we know we're going to get it.
Samsung like to provision their releases in sort of 2-year blocks. So, just judging by when I worked there. So, for example, S21 Ultra launched at around like January 14, like around that middle of Jan, which was super early. Samsung brought it forward early that year. I think this is just me guessing from what I noticed about the environment, was Apple were launching late. So Samsung wanted this big, long gap to make sure people accelerated their upgrade. And because S21 Ultra launched at that time, the 2-year upgrade cycle kicks in, and that would bring us to the S24 Ultra, which is 2 years after. So to bring those people in and make sure their upgrade is timely, that would kind of bring that forward as well. So that's the theory that I've had based off the experience of working there. So make of that what you will about the date that we have that's leaked.
So what are the speculative dates then at the moment?
Well, I think what I've seen is 17th of January is the speculative date, but there's been no official invite or anything that's gone out to anyone yet. That's just what's been bandied around on the interwebs that we've seen.
And just before we got recording, I just had the email through from Google talking about their latest updates. At their event, they said they were going to do the big updates, the video boost and the night mode or night sight, which I think they've actually been true to their words. I'm going to play with that over the weekend.
Yeah, something came out this morning. I just saw.
Yeah. That's what I'm going to look at later on. I've looked to see if I'm up to date on the phone, but I've got to play with that. But anyway, I only say that as a lead on. Obviously, you two are both, well, Daniel, we know, is purely, the Samsung man. And Alex, I know you've been using S23 and switched to it early.
Yeah, it's my main phone.
Yeah.
Still, yeah.
So I'm going to sit back here and do absolutely nothing and just listen to you two chat. What are the big features that, as Samsung users, you would really love to see delivered come January?
Yeah, I've got an opinion there, but I'll let Daniel lead on that one.
It's I think for me, what I'd like to see is some hardware improvements, but I know they're not coming. I don't think Samsung is in a position yet to really make that big, massive investment in hardware R&D to try and drive their S series forward. I think that comes with it a lot of risk. If we look back a couple of years, the S20 Ultra, they took that massive risk with the hardware innovation that year, and it didn't do well. Just from a sales point of view and reception point of view, it kind of fell a bit flat. So they've gone into this refinement sort of phase what I really like about what Samsung did this year was that they leaned into the processor, the 8 Gen 2 for Galaxy. So I think what I'm looking forward to seeing is what they do with that next year, what features they can tie in to that new, more capable processor, the 8 Gen 3 for Galaxy, if that's what it ends up being. What they can enable off the back of that is what I'm probably looking forward to, because I know the other option isn't coming yet. So I'm just being a bit realistic about it.
Yeah, I'm kind of on the same boat. I think, you know, from a consumer perspective, I would have loved to have seen a bit of a change in the design. I mean, I did some renders with Technizo Concept. I think he does a lot of renders, and you know, it looks exactly like the S23 Ultra, right? And maybe squarer design, you know, different glass on the front or whatever. I would have liked to seen something different at the back. I was never a fan of this since the S22 Ultra. Never really a fan of the minimalistic design. It looks great, but I don't know. It's just not that exciting for me. But beyond that, I know there's a lot of noise on the fact that we might be losing the optical 10x zoom. But when you look into it, and if the rumors are true, you know, we're getting a bigger sensor that will take care of a 5x optical zoom potentially. And based on what I've seen Google do and Apple do with their 5x zoom on that bigger sensor, I mean, I'm expecting a lot, because, you know, what Samsung was able to do on a tiny sensor on the 10x is just incredible. I use the 10x a lot for normal photos. Sometimes I just walk back, because I just like the makeup of the photo, you know, the separation that it gives. You know, it just looks legit like a DSLR or mirrorless shot. But I know a lot of people are talking about that, and that's probably a lot of YouTube noise, you know, coming into play as well on that 10x zoom and Twitter. But I'm more excited about the AI features because of what Dan just said about, you know, the fact that you're going to get, potentially, is a lot of being bandied around, right? Galaxy AI. And if you look at Honor and Xiaomi as well, what they've done with that 3nm processor, the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3, it's awesome. You know, being able to edit photos and video with voice commands, with ChatGPT-like commands, it's really fascinating. I'm excited for that, actually.
And these are clearly on-device edits you're making.
Yes, a little bit like going beyond what Google did, for example, with their, you know, Magic Eraser, which we do have on Samsung already. But I've seen an example, I think it was Honor, where, you know, they said, okay, go to my library of photos. They don't even say that. You just say, make a video of my daughter or my son, you know, throughout the years whilst they were dancing. So the system goes and finds videos and clips that they were dancing throughout the years, edits the video, puts some music on top, and, you know, within seconds you get this edited 30-second, 40-second video of your child, like, throughout the years. It was awesome to see. All voice, you know, like natural voice commands and AI generated video. I really enjoy that. That was really cool to see.
The thing that I think Samsung will need to improve, if it's going to rely on voice commands to control things, it's Bixby's voice like recognition isn't global. So it has a certain select markets that it recognizes the accent. Australia is not one of them. So I have to put on a bit of American twang if I want to talk to Bixby, which I just straight up don't bother about worrying about. I just Google does everything I need to anyway. I hope I don't set off my assistant. It's interesting you talk about the cameras. I was processing a lot of that in my head. My ideal camera configuration for the Ultra would be a 3x 50 megapixel that would do the gap between 3 and 10 times, and then a 10 times camera as well. But I think where Samsung probably can't do that either just yet or don't want to is the space that would take up. The folded periscope 10 times lens plus a larger 50 megapixel sensor just wouldn't allow for enough components for things like the S Pen and the battery to exist alongside it, and they'd have to make some sacrifices somewhere. So I think the solution of a 3 times and a 5 times in conjunction with each other, as what's being rumored, will probably work as long as the 5 times is optimized for that longer zoom as well.
That's the thing that I'm hoping as well. They
did it with the S20 Ultra. It was a 4 times camera that when it was a 48 megapixel resolution, and that took care of the zoom from 4 to 10 times, and it did it okay. So I'm going to be interested to see how they handle it in the next couple of weeks when it gets announced.
Do you think that the picture side of the camera is going to be more of a selling point than the video side? I mean, the video, I know you both talked about the 8K capabilities on the S23, and it looks stunning. But do you think they're going to make any massive improvements? Because, when Alex and I have been talking on recent podcasts, even Alex has sort of admitted that, okay, the 15 Pro Max has probably still got it on pure video quality. Do you think there's anything Samsung can do to try and steal any thunder from them?
Samsung, from a video sense, they've taken a bit of a different approach, as opposed to, yes, the video is good, but they provide more functions. So there's director's view, there's pro video mode, there's features like single take, which isn't really a video function. You've got 8K. So they're trying to give you more flexibility in how you can record, as opposed to just the output, which has always kind of been their mantra. Apple have effectively caught up, though. Like, they've got cinematic video now as well. They've got what Samsung Super Steady mode, but it's called action mode or something along those lines. So they're kind of bringing some of those features into their camera as well. So yeah, I think Samsung probably needs to try and double down on the output side of things too, if they want it to be a serious creator's phone. That being said, my S23 Ultra has been great. My whole YouTube channel is recorded on it. So like, I haven't really got any complaints for myself. But yeah, I don't know, Alex, what you think about it, because I know you use a lot of video on your phone sometimes as well.
Yeah, I think, to be honest with you, I'm looking forward to better 8K video. I know it's probably, not something that a lot of people use, but I actually do enjoy, the quality of the video that we get out of it. It's for purely like enjoying it myself, because it's not something for content that, YouTube, I think, is even not making it easy to upload 8K videos. You don't really see that option anymore. I think they've completely removed it now as an option.
I think it's Gio Marquez, isn't it? I'm uploading an 8K.
Yeah, but it does look awesome, even when it's downscaled or whatever to play back on a browser. But just watching on a display that has 8K capabilities, insane, really. What you can do with a smartphone. So I'm looking forward to better 8K. I mean, still, when it comes to stabilization and things like that, it's not as good yet as 4K. Unless you're using a gimbal, is still not ready for the mass as it is today on the S23 Ultra. But it's been a leap from the S22 and even the S21. It's huge already. So I'm looking forward to seeing what that will look like on the S24 Ultra. But beyond that, better audio would be good as well. I mean, I know it does really well.
There,
yeah, I think it's weird. What I find is, especially because I'm in an open space most of the time when I'm recording externally, it's a lot of wind. And if I'm recording using the selfie camera, it's actually better than the main camera for me, which is weird, right? Because you would think that they would put the better microphones or the positioning of them on the main camera. But the way it works for me, I don't know if I'm holding it wrong or whatever, but it just sounds better if I use the selfie mic.
There's a microphone like wedged in underneath one of these cameras. I can't remember which one it is.
Right, yeah.
That's like the third microphone, right? And when you zoom in, because it's got that zoom in audio feature as well, when you zoom in with the rear cameras, it isolates more from that microphone than it does the other two, because there's 3 mics. So when you're using the selfie camera, that back mic doesn't get used at all. It's just those 2 ones that sort of facing you. That could be why, because it's a bit more isolated in that direction. That get.
Yeah, I guess it depends where the wind is blowing from as well and whatever. But yeah,
that too.
So I think it's already amazing. It's already, since the S23 Ultra, I think that was the first phone really that I could say, like the iPhone, maybe the 13 as well. It was the phones that I can use clips from those devices into my videos without anyone batting an eyelid. It's no problem, even for B-roll. So it's already at a point where it can be used professionally, I think. And when you add things like an ND filter, which I've been playing around with, or a professional microphone to record audio, these devices are proper. You can rig them up and shoot anything you want, really. So for video, anything is a bonus from here on, I think, because resolution wise, our eyes have a limitation as well, right? You can't see more high depth than we, it's already kind of reaching that limit.
And question, I mean, obviously, hands up, I haven't used the flagship Samsung, so this answer is obvious to most people, but not to me. So when you're recording, say, in 4 or 8K, does it go direct to the device, or can you set it up to go to an external? Because I'm thinking
Sorry,
8K.
Direct. Yeah.
That's,
Yeah.
I mean,
If you had
I
an
had a
SD
wish-
card, you could save it to SD card, but that was when the phones had SD cards. They don't anymore.
Good old days. Yeah. No, I think
that is,
it's a good point though, David, because if I think in my 2 videos that I did about that's another one that if you want to test the waters on Samsung content, just do a speculative video, which is what I did. You can say like the 5 things I wish were coming or whatever. But in my video about the rumors and leaks or whatever, I said if I had to choose features that I could just no budget constraints and things that are outside of Samsung's control, one there, I would say raw video or log video, because there is a workaround to do that today with a third-party app. But I'd love to be able to be more creative with the editing afterwards. So record everything in log and then adding my own color LUTs and things like that. That'll be amazing.
The thing is,
sorry, Dan, are the 8K files huge?
yes.
Yeah. Not as big as the ProRes files, but yeah, they're big.
The thing is, Samsung's got a pro video mode like built into its modes already. So for me, it wouldn't be too much of an ask for them to extend the capability of that to have raw video. They have raw photos, expert raw, pro mode. They have the raw photo capability. I would have thought that when they brought pro video mode out, that would just naturally segue across, but they didn't do it.
Yeah. In fact, this third party app, all it does is takes lots of frames, like a DNG file, and make those frames into a video. So it's not really, he's not doing anything crazy. It's just
It's like a flip book.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Animation.
Absolutely crazy. Yeah. So it's like it's a lot of. I mean, it's amazing that it does it, but it's like, come on, Samsung. This should be in there. But I was talking to someone, I think it was on Twitter actually, or X, who understands a little bit of the licensing for log as a codec.
Okay.
And there's something that I think it's Sony owned, and Apple and Sony have some sort
Apple
of
and Sony sensors,
agreement.
So
okay.
So if Samsung wanted to do something like log, they could, but it would have to go down the route that people like
They'd have to make
Canon
their own
or other
standard. Yeah,
they'd have to go through either
Which they're
licensing
not afraid
themselves.
Samsung are not afraid to make their own standard. Like they went against the grain and they made the HDR 10 Plus standard instead of adopting the Dolby Vision one. Like they've done that. They've done that pretty much their entire smartphone making career. If someone's not going to give it to them, they will try and make it themselves. Yeah, I feel like they're probably going to do the same with AI, like the Galaxy AI stuff. I feel like if they don't want to use Google's solution, they're just like, nah, we're going to build it ourselves from the ground up. So yeah, I'm curious to see what is going to come in that sense as well. Question I've got is, David, are you going to buy one?
Well,
being the non-Samsung man here.
Yeah, so I tried out. Unfortunately for me, I picked the one phone that, Alex and I mentioned this before, the Flip just, for whatever reason, didn't really seem to catch on generally the imagination of most people. I know a lot of people made content on it and very few had successful videos on it. When I used it, I did quite enjoy it, and it was one of the Androids I did enjoy using this year. Then it comes to the S24 is the one flagship, or the Samsung S series is the one flagship I've not owned. I've got the Galaxy 8 Pro here, and it's the one missing one. So I'm thinking come January, should I be part of the party? Now, it's just, you two have got great views on Samsungs. I'm just wondering if it's going to be a sort of £1,500 mistake for me, or whether, A, I'd enjoy using it, and it'd be great to see how that compares to, particularly to the Pixel, of course, because, I've got their 2 flagship phones, both Android phones. So yeah, I'm tempted. I really am tempted just to see.
I have the title now. I already have it. Lifelong iPhone user switches to S24 Ultra. And then the thumbnail, I've already made the thumbnail. Lifelong. You've got to make sure you put lifelong in there.
Yeah, or you can put in the phone.
Or you can put 50+ year Apple user switches to S24 Ultra.
Back off my age.
It works, right? It definitely works. I think the key for me is, and I made this decision very early on in the channel, is not to make, and it can go either way, right? It's not a formula for how to do YouTube. That there isn't one, right? But what worked for me was to be true to myself. I enjoy tech, and I would never probably, let's say never, right? But never really tie myself to one brand, you know, and just stick to it. And I think, Daniel, you do a great job at doing that. And that's, you know, that's what's skyrocketing your channel. But I made a decision early on not to do that. And it worked because, you know, I was genuinely changing from I think almost 13, 14 years at the time of using exclusively iPhone, I could say. I've used other devices before. I used HTCs, Nokias, you know, back in the day, and Samsungs as well. You know, the S6 Edge was the last Samsung I used before the S21. So, you know, I had them in my life, but not really as my main device. iPhones, since the first one, were my main phone. So when I was doing the video, and I think those days I didn't even use a script, every comment, you know, every other comment was about, oh my gosh, this guy is, you know, genuinely excited about the S21 Ultra, and how, and I was truly like, oh my gosh, they moved on quite a bit here, right? Because my conception was, what you read online even to this day, is that Android phones in general are, you know, the stuff that hackers use, or the things that you can fiddle with, and, you know, is not like iPhone is just easy to use and, you know, safe. You know, that's the misconception sometimes. So when I was faced with a cleaner, you know, more powerful Android device in my house, like, oh my gosh, I was genuinely impressed. So I think, yeah, and you've done that to an extent already, David. I think that might work, you know, because if you use the S24 Ultra, unless they really screw it up, I think you'd be really impressed, because every iPhone user I give this to and say, you know, hold it, or even the Fold as well, the Fold 5, and they go, oh my gosh, this is amazing. This is an Android phone, really? They are really impressed. And I've got a friend of mine who never used anything, just iPhones, who's seriously considering getting an S23 Ultra, not even the S24.
So when I was with you last and I held it, it did feel, it looked a premium, felt a premium phone. It's one of those kind of phones you want to go and pick up and just, you know, fidget and play with. It's got a great look to it.
Yeah. I think and the more you use, the more you get out of it as well. I mean, of course, you've done loads of videos about things like modes and routines, and there's so much that you know, when you make the software works with the hardware, it becomes a really powerful thing. And even the iPhone, to an extent now, with the action button, can be kind of, is going to more that customizable way of using it. But I'm really impressed with just how much you can do with this phone, right? In terms of multitasking and whatever. And I know it's not for everyone, but yeah, I don't see myself ever not using it until there's something better.
I think I know we were laughing and joking, lifelong iPhone user. I think though, if the content, once they get into the video, like the whole idea of the thumbnail and the title is, let's pique their interest. But if the video and the content isn't great, then they're not going to stay. Yeah. But if you're, like Alex said, genuinely passionate, interested with the stuff that you're talking about, they will stick around for it. And then that's when you can pick up genuine subscribers off the back of it.
It's all about being honest. I mean, we had Pete Matheson here, who's the king of the lifelong insert here, right?
I remember this before I started YouTube. I saw that every time. I don't know, is this for real?
But you know, the way he delivers the content, you know, works, because again, he's not when you watch the videos, it's not like saying, you know, that's what he's done and then 6 months later he's changing. He's just honestly trying tech for consumers to see what it's like, you know. So it's just being honest, really, right? If you deliver good content, you know, to justify the slightly clickbaity, I don't have a problem with clickbait.
No, neither do I now. Now that I'm in the business.
Yeah.
That's the title of this week's podcast, isn't it? Alex does not have a problem with clickbait.
No clickbait problems here.
I would, I mean, I do have one problem, which is when you start to grow and, you know, get sponsorship deals, like it or not, people will look at those thumbnails and go, ooh, not sure I want to invest here. I know that for certain. So having, you know, I had the S word on my thumbnails a few times. You know,
I remember it. Yeah, I've seen them.
This device is the same S as the year before. It was usually an iPhone. Or I think I had one that said "Burger Off Apple," you know, about the iPad. So it's just my genuine feel anyway. So it's not that clickbaity. Yeah. But the problem comes, you know, when you're running this as a business, you got to think about you know, it's like going to Selfridges and seeing, I don't know, a pig's head on the window instead of a Christmas decoration, right? It's like,
That escalated quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got issues as well, Alex.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that there's definitely a time, but there's also a line there, right? If you wanna do YouTube as a business, just think about, is your shop window basically, right? That people will look for. A lot of sponsors won't look through every single video, but they'll scroll through and look, how many views you had, and what are you saying about those videos, in the thumbnail and title.
Something we'll get on to sort of talking more YouTube in a little bit, but question for you, Daniel, because certainly Alex sort of spreads a net over the devices that you talked about. But of course, you built great success in your channel purely being Samsung. Does it ever get to a point during the year when you're between releases that you're struggling for content?
No.
Because it's a strength and a weakness, isn't it? People will turn to you for your really concise and the knowledge you've got about everything Samsung. But equally, we all get it when there's flat spots. There's not a lot of new stuff to talk about.
I think I still have ideas like for videos in those in-between moments. The struggle is knowing which ideas will land and which ideas won't. Obviously, throughout the year, Samsung release updates. So like One UI 6 just dropped, for example, and I got great success out of a camera comparison. I've made 2 videos. One got 15,000, one's at 50 in the space
Amazing.
of a week of each other. And that's in November, which is not Samsung season. There's not tech season. So for me, I kind of hang out for those kind of updates. And in between, I'll just kind of find bits of software and do like a deep dive on Samsung Notes or a deep dive on Expert Raw. Like I'll pick things that I know that I know how to talk about and sort of promote them. Like
it really works. It's what you're doing is so good. I mean, I like that. It feels to me anyway, just watching. I know, and we talk a lot, and I've known you since you started the channel, but I think just looking, even though I'm not in the weeds of your content, but I can tell that you're a man with a plan, right? It sounds like you're strategic about your content, and you clearly, I mean, it's working. It's a completely different way to how I do my channel, how David does his stuff, but you found a way that works for you. There's no messing. I mean, the content is just pure, informative. I mean, it's entertaining as well. You've got a lot nice charismatic feel to it as well. But it's just amazing how much information is packed. And I think you showed me your retention numbers recently. Maybe talk a little bit about that. Because your retention is so high. It's amazing for a tech channel.
Yeah, so I didn't know what a yardstick was for retention. Like I'd share you a screenshot of something, and you're like, "Whoa, what's that?"
Yeah, it was 60 something. I was like, Jesus, that's like Mr. Beast stuff.
So I didn't know what to. Wow.
I have like averages between like 4.5 to like 6 minutes is my average view duration of a video, which depending on how long the video is either like 30 to 40% or it's like 20 to 30%. Of the video, but it's always around that time. Some are a bit longer, some are a bit shorter. I started putting a bit more thought into it when I started noticing that statistic, and it was more the noticing of the start of the video, like 67% have watched through to 30 seconds, which is above typical.
Yeah,
I started noticing that.
Yeah.
So when I started noticing that, I was like, I need to put in more emphasis on the start. So I started coming up with some more snappier, kind of like how sitcoms like do cold opens. I wanted to do like a bit of a cold open where I like sharply introduce a topic.
Straight into,
and then I'll sort of be like, let's go. And then the very short animation plays, like I've shortened it down to like 3 seconds versus like 5 or 10 that it was at the start. And then I've got some music to try and get the beat going. And I put a lot of emphasis on that at the start to try and keep people engaged. I noticed it drops off whenever I do like a sponsor, which is, I'm guessing,
it's inevitable, isn't it?
That's normal. We always see that dip.
Yeah.
I mean, I was watching videos last night. As soon as you got to that sponsored bit, and it was funny because it was an Artlist sponsored video, and you could just tell from the very beginning. I was talking to the other half, said, "This is a sponsored video, 100%." You could just tell the way it's being formatted,
Yeah, which is fine. I have a lot more sympathy now for creators that do that because it's a hustle. You've got to do that sort of stuff sometimes to get, and sometimes it doesn't have to be one that you particularly want, but they've asked you, they're going to pay you,
it pays the bills.
Got fun on the videos,
It's got a slight link to tech, like a Bluetooth speaker or something, and sure. But yeah, I think for me, I definitely focused on that. I write the snappy intros as a script, and I try not to deviate from it. The rest of the stuff is just dot points and sort of as I sort of spitball when I'm talking. Occasionally, I'll have a plan for B-roll. This is deviating a little bit, and I'll say something in my A-roll that I didn't plan for, and then I have to reshoot the whole. Like I have to reshoot B-roll because I'm like, oh, why am I saying things that I didn't plan on including?
Yeah, and I think the message that I get from watching your videos, and I watch I think 90% of your videos. I've watched all of them. But what I get as a creator is, if I was starting today looking at your channel, I would feel like, this is empowering, because I would say what's stopping me from creating, right? You're recording on your phone. I think you use a bit of a makeshift teleprompter, but it's basically some notes, right, on the side.
My Tab S9 Ultra sitting next to it on the bed. Yeah,
everyone can do that, right? It can be just a notepad, or even, right? But your smartphone, which everyone has one, and good information. That's all it is. And I've stopped short so many times. But before starting the channel, I don't have a proper camera. I don't have the right microphone. I don't have the right gear to start. And that's just such a wrong thing to do, because you could be having a channel with how many thousand subscribers now?
20.6 I think I have now.
Yeah,
which is just ridiculous.
20K subs on your first year, right? It's
in a year,
insane. Yeah, I think it took me nearly 3 years to get there. So yeah, it's awesome.
I think the thing that triggered it for me, and I would have probably been in the same boat as you, I need this proper camera, is Samsung with the S23 Ultra brought out 4K portrait video. And I was like, if I have to shoot YouTube videos, it's got to be 4K. And I like the depth effect that people create. And I'm like, this 4K portrait video, beautiful. And I thought I'll just start. And then, I tried to bring the energy from my training sessions, because I used to love being in front of a crowd and giving that same information that I'm giving over my videos, but to people in the room. I try and bring that with me to the videos and pretend there's still an audience in front of me. And I still have the humor from the sessions in there that I tried as well.
Definitely shows.
That was the two things I would say about your videos. It's the unparalleled or unrivaled amount of knowledge you clearly got, passion, and also there's some humor in there as well, which is a very relaxed, easy style that you've got in the way. And what Alex was saying about if somebody's thinking about starting a channel and they're worried about presenting, that's the way to do it. You just stand and talk with obvious knowledge of what you're talking about. So the script is pretty secondary for you because it's already in there.
This was the crazy.
Go on.
Oh, sorry. This is the gap I kind of noticed with Samsung content is a lot of people would shoot top down and that's it. They'd have top down and then talking at the same time. Well, that's not very entertaining to learn how to do stuff. Like, it's informative and someone will search for it, but you're not going to come back regularly for the personality and the character. And then I also noticed that the people that get the retention is people like Marquez, who has the charisma to talking to camera, overlaid with some B-roll shots of the things he's talking about. But what if I blend those two together, blend the charisma and talking to camera like it's entertainment, but have the information overlaid with the B-roll that's actually demonstrative at the same time? I thought there's a gap there, and that's what I've tried to do. I know it sounds like anyone can do that, but I just feel like that was my unique perspective to bring.
No one is you, right? No one has your experience and your takes. And I think that we talked about this before, where we think that, oh, hang on, there's so many tech channels. Why another one? An example, I mean, my Brazilian channel is a very similar one. It's like, for years I thought that would be easier because I can speak the language a lot more easily than English. But it turns out I can't, because people say, hang on, what weird accent is this now? But anyway, the point is, it's all about just making something that is uniquely yours. Even if you use techniques and copy styles from other people, no one can really do what you do the way you do it, right? It's just that's the whole point of YouTube. And I've been following this guy, as you can tell if you know me in person, right? Like, I'm not a bodybuilder, but I don't know how I got YouTube recommended me this video by this guy called Sam Sulek, I think.
Oh, I remember you talking about him.
He's a bodybuilder, right? So he's completely he's someone who's probably taking all sorts of stuff to get that big, but it's like an Arnold Schwarzenegger style dude. But he's 21, maybe 22. All he does is he records himself in the car, just talking absolutely mundane day-to-day stuff. Goes to the
Oh, we've
he's
lost
muted
audio.
himself. He's muted himself. The sheer panic when he realized he's still on mute.
Oh, you're mute.
Yeah, he muted himself. That's outstanding.
Yeah, sorry
There you
about
go.
that.
You're back.
I was,
Okay.
I had the mouse
Getting
hovering over the thing,
too
and then
excited.
I hit the
You were
space
too
bar.
excited. That's the thing. We talk about energy. You just bang
So
down
I
on
was
that
talking
mute
about
button.
Sam Select, and all he does is records his stuff on his car, just talking, absolutely mundane stuff and day-to-day things. He goes to the gym, records some parts of his set and why he's doing that, but it's just real. There's no cuts. There's just a guy talking to camera, and it's almost like it's a 40-minute video every other day. And I don't know, he started this year and it's like 3 million subs already and growing like crazy. And I thought there's something in there, right? Just be ourselves and just talk
Yeah.
sometimes.
Well, I did notice you started doing some car stuff, Alex. You driving in the car, having a chat.
Yeah,
Yes,
that was
yes, let's
absolutely
talk-
inspired by what I've seen. It's like, okay, well, why can't I just? I mean, I'm not going to do every video that way because that's not what the channel is about. But I think as the channel grows, to build that connection, it's important to just sometimes just
because you
strip
said
down
in
a
that,
little bit. Right, just go back to basics and personal.
because part of what you were saying behind it was, what my takeaway of it was you realised how intense your editing is and how long the videos are taking you. So you thought, okay, let's just try
It's
and
a killer,
strip that
yeah.
back a bit. But equally, building with the community. Sorry, I think there's an ambulance screaming past the studio. Do forgive. Luckily not for me. The trouble of doing it daytime is I've got a hospital just up the main A&E hospital just up the road. Anyway, hope that person's okay. And you said about building a community as well. That was part of the reason for doing it. So it's a lot more informal. You were talking to people, and you did 2 videos last week, didn't you? Vlog style. You've gone again.
Yeah.
He's on mute.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. I just thought, there was no way I was going to have time to do everything I needed to do. It was my son's last week at school, and there's lots of events and things going on. I have about 7 videos to do by the end of the year.
Oh,
It's like, yeah, crazy. And so I'd have to, I mean, some of them are half edited, some of them are all scripted but not recorded. So I was panicking a little bit, to be honest with you. So I just thought, you know what? I need to drive anyway. And I've been following this channel and thinking, I might just do that, just talk about tech or talk about the channel, talking about the stuff that's in there and keep the algorithm going. And I've been looking at the stats for it. I mean, and I say this in the video. You don't have to watch it, by the way. It's just, it's kind of, it's almost like an OnlyFans. It's like, I aimed that video. That came out wrong. I don't strip down in that video. But no, I do, that would be a good idea. But it would be something, that sort of video is for the real fans, right? The people who are followers who watch every single video of you. And I was amazed by not just the views, because the views sometimes, those videos can be a little bit clickbaity as well. So you might get a very short view. This is not what I signed up for, and completely goes off. But judging by the numbers and the retention and the actual comments and engagement in there, I was like, this numbers, right? I think one of them is nearly a 2K views for a channel my size. When I see vlogs from other creators who have like 500,000, 1 million subs, that's not too bad, because they get like maybe 2,000-3,000 views as well. So for a vlog, I think that was good. But for me, it's going to be almost like a bit of seasoning, right? So it'll be like 8 videos that are reviews and maybe a couple that are vlog style, just catching up. Just because
just for you.
It's just too busy. Yeah, or just to keep the algorithm ticking, right? Because let's be honest, whether we like it or not, and whether YouTube confirms this or not, I have a feeling that if you don't upload consistently, doesn't matter what it is, you get hit.
It's funny you say that, because before I went to Europe for 3 weeks last month, I worked tirelessly to schedule like 4 videos while I was away. I recorded back to back, edited, uploaded. So every Sunday I was away, I had a video each Sunday I was gone to upload, just in fear that if I didn't, like the algorithm would forget me. And I don't know if it would. I don't know if it would. You see some creators who upload every month, and their videos skyrocket to the top. As long as potentially the click-through rate is good, YouTube will realize you've done it and put it out there. So I don't know.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, in Brazil, I'm not sure if I can judge anything by the Brazilian channel, because that thing is just a bit of an anomaly, really. But yeah, I uploaded 1 video in November, two, I think, in October, two in September, and the video's just done better than anything has ever done on my normal channel, which I pay a lot of attention to. So I think consistency is key, whatever that consistency is. If it's a video a month, it's fine. But once you break that consistency is what I mean, right? I find that going back after a bit of a break, even if the break is like 2 weeks for me, I think there was a point where I think it was 11 days that I didn't upload, and the next upload, and it was a topical video. For hours, it did nothing. And it was only after, I don't know, half a day almost that it started to pick up, which was very unusual. It's like, what, this is new, right? It's almost like we should be saying, I don't know what you've done for those 11 days. Let's not give you too many impressions because we don't know what you're doing.
I have a question, and let me know what you guys think. Is it better to upload short 3 or 4 minute videos like every day, or consolidate them into one video and upload it once a week?
I'd say the latter. Yeah, without thinking.
I think so too. Just because you'd get people watching the videos for longer. Like if YouTube's rewarding you for watching it longer videos,
I think short-term gains would. Yeah.
Earlier on, I tried to make sure I was hitting this sort of 7-8 minute mark. Recently, all of my videos, not by design, have just been longer. The one that's going out tomorrow is 12 minutes. The others have been 16, 18. But I kind of go by the rule of thumb now that if I've got something to say and I'm not repeating myself, and in the edit I'm brutal to make sure there's no repetition going on. And if that's the case, and I'm actually got something to say, and it happens to be 15 minutes long, okay. I know exactly. The retention might struggle a bit because it's a longer form video, but equally, I think I can see from the numbers now and look at the stats that people are beginning to like the story that I'm telling them. So they're willing to, because there was a glitch on my video last week. It was about a 17-minute video, and the amount of comments I've had saying there was a glitch at 17 minutes 22. I thought, geez, you're watching it.
Hey, you're watching it.
It was
don't worry about the glitch.
Exactly.
Actually, watch it back because I fixed it.
I mean, it was a server-side thing. It was nothing, my file was. But anyway, by the by, it was just great to see. So, thanks, guys. You're actually interested in what I was saying all the way through. And one of the most interesting things there, where we look at the spike of where the high points were in the video, it was on the M3 iMac that I've been using, and it was what I thought was a fairly simple part of the video. I've got some software called ScreenFlow, so it does a really nice screen recording, shows you mouth, And I said, look, you're going to see me now open up on this really base level M3 iMac. We're going to have Photoshop open, Lightroom open, Premiere Pro open, and ScreenFlow. And people have been saying, I'd love to see some more Lightroom stuff. And they keep going back and just watching this tiny little section where I just was doing some work in Lightroom, and people are really, because it's that behind the scenes thing, they like to see what we do to make things come together. So, I say in answer to your question, Dan. I think sort of group it together, make that because your videos are longer form as well, aren't they?
I physically can't make mine shorter than 10 minutes. I don't know what it is. I try. Like I just got up there and I talked for my it's my Fold 5 One UI 6 video. And that was, I talked A-roll for like 26 minutes, and probably only like 5 or 6 minutes is wastage. So that video is going to be like 18 minutes long, and I just can't help it. But giving context as a YouTube user from before I started making videos, I would hunt longer videos, especially if I traveled, or if my wife was asleep, or if I was just bored and had time on my hands, I would be hunting longer videos. If I saw something at 5 or 6 minutes, I'd be like, I need more. I think there's a place for longer videos, and I think YouTube rewards the longer videos if you can keep people in there as well. That's what I've picked up on just in my 12 months so far.
And I think now more than ever, right, when you look at the way the ads are being presented, I mean, I don't know what the rule of thumb is now, but up until recently, it was 8 minutes. If it was less than 8 minutes, you're not going to get a lot of push, because the ads that YouTube puts in the middle, and it's not enough time for them to do that. So 8 minutes has always been a bit of a rule of thumb, and I've maybe this year I've done 1 or 2 that were less than that because a sponsor pulled out the last minute or screwed up the last minute, so I had to remove the 2 minute integration. So I would still say it would be better to do longer videos anyway because of that the ad revenue part. But there's nothing wrong with doing lots of short videos if your content is short and snappy and people watch them all the time. It's just another way of growing, right? But I think long term, you'll be better off making longer.
You won't get
longer
burnout
videos.
as well, right? Like if you're constantly having to upload a video every day, you know, and then you might do it for a week, and then you might go missing for a week, or you might go missing for a few days. And
Yeah.
I feel like if you can just, especially if you're starting, just start with the consistency.
Exactly.
But
Yeah. And I see some channels that.
No, you go.
Sorry, Daniel. Yeah, I see some channels that do struggle with then getting, you know, the creativity part coming in, right? So you create all these videos. After a while, you go, hang on. You find yourself repeating yourself just because you know it's something that works, and you run out of ideas for something new. And David, you and I discussed this, I think it was a couple of episodes ago, where I just took a weekend off 1 month. I think it was October, I think. And, you know, it did me a world of good just to like take a break, step back, look at the channel almost at a macro level, go, you know, what we're doing here, right? And what's important, what's making it tick, what works, what doesn't work. You know, am I working on things that are, you know, balancing the channel from a financial perspective, but also for my own sanity, right? Am I doing stuff just to chase the views and stuff? So I think it's important to, like I said, just sometimes just not focus too much on just upload.
Yeah, we spoke that Monday, actually, when you'd had that weekend off, and you just sounded like the weight of the world had fallen from your shoulder. You sounded fresh and ready to go again, rather than just being on that wheel and just trying to edit, upload.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, we all love doing it, you know, but, you know, it is still a big part of all of our days, isn't it?
Yeah. Especially if, you know, if you've got family and people around you, right? You don't want to completely ostracise yourself to the rest of the world.
Yeah, it's
I'm lucky I don't have any friends, so, you know, it's fine.
Brutal. Come on, David. But you've started, I've seen the last month, you've had incredible growth for your channel.
Yeah, it's taken me some time. And we'll all know this. It was something I think I was writing about this week, the way that, it was a comment on a video. I just responded to somebody this morning because he started saying, I found your channel, I'm just thinking of starting up and this is really inspirational. That's nice. And I said, just be prepared. It can be brutal. So I beat myself up thinking I must be the world's slowest learner. By the by, I think, I don't want to crow from rooftops here, and this isn't meant to come across that way, but I think, like we all do, when we've got bad days and failures and what we consider failures, you go away and look, right, what did I do wrong and what can I improve? So then I've got this almost templated formula now. I will always start with a thumbnail. Once I've got the thumbnail shot, I'll give the thumbnail its wording, its title, and then I'll make sure that the video title hopefully ties in to the thumb. And then I'm ready to start recording, which is kind of scripted. I mean, it's fully typed, but I don't read anymore. I just have a Mac to one side. Right, that's what I said. And because I've written it, it's kind of in there. But then I always make sure that the thumb and the title is mentioned within the first 20 seconds. And also that's repeated in the description as well. And then obviously from there, I actually try to tell the story and make sure there's a beginning, start, end, there's a hook. And always, you know, give those hooks at the beginning about, I'll be talking about that later. And what I found on 3 videos on the bounce now is that I'm getting, well, not only decent views, but more importantly, subs. The last 2 videos are done, and I know these figures are small for some, but for me to get over 200 subs on a video,
wow,
you know, that matters.
No,
yeah, it's made
even for me. Even for me, if I get 200,
yeah, that's so not just that's good for anyone.
Oh, see, I didn't know, because we would have had our YouTube Wrapped figures through this week, and I woke up in bed yesterday, I saw it on mine, I said, I'm not going to put mine up because I'm going to feel impotent when I look at everybody else's because I'll get mine pushed to one side, but they matter to me. And,
and we shouldn't compare with other people, but I think...
No, it is apples and oranges, but, you know, because
David, I think we should talk about what you did. I mean, what is it that you did that changed? Because, you know, we talked for pretty much every episode, right, how you've been struggling to find, you know, the right content, you know, how you tried so many different things.
I have.
What worked?
Well, if people are starting a channel, just put context on it. I started uploading regularly in September of 21. I didn't get to 1,000 subs until March of this year. So that's September 21 until March of 23. Then I went from 1,000 to 2,000 by September this year, and I've gone from 2,000 to 3,000 in 8 weeks. And I'm already at 3,250 now, so I've done another, you know, I'm on the way to 4 now. Wow. So I think it's good. What did it for me is, funny enough, looking at the demographics. So once I started trying to narrow down what I was talking about, and I was lucky with the iMac, it gave me something to really focus on. And when I bought that, I thought, I know I'm not going to make the money back on that from YouTube, I'll make it back on Medium, because people like reading when I talk about Apple, but haven't liked watching it. But I took a different approach and I went retro. I had the old iMac in the background, and but it was actually looking, okay, most of the people, in fact, all the people watching me between 45 to 65, and virtually 100% in America. So, right, let's tailor it down. If I was wanting to find out, thinking of that as as the target audience I'm speaking to, as my avatar, they're not going to want some poppy graphics on the screen. They're not going to want music beds. They're not going to want loads and loads of over editing. What they're going to want is a clean, measured. And the one thing I know I've got going for me from the radio days is a decent voice. So I thought, right, hone in on the voice, improve the audio, hone in on the voice. And that's what I've done. I've actually done kind of what we were talking about a moment ago. I've stripped back the editing while I was spending hours and hours doing clever editing. I've done no jump cuts. Virtually the last 3 videos have been straight run-throughs without hardly any editing. And I think people are enjoying the story of just me talking about, right, if you buy this, these might be the limitations, but these are the... But I've got the video coming out tomorrow as we record. This is about the studio display. I've done 2 videos on it. Both are done well. I looked back at them and thought they're absolutely shocking and thought, well, I can do it better. And so I've taken this new approach. The thumb was done, and that's made such a difference to me. I don't know how you guys go about it, but once I've got that thumb done, I'm really focused on what the video is going to be then.
I struggle I'd say every upload, but one upload out of 10, I have the thumbnail and the title nailed. I think the S24 Ultra was an easy one because I saw the GTA 6 stuff coming out. I was like, I've got to use that graphic because it's topic and people like it. It works a lot better in Brazil. I think in the UK channel, I've changed the thumbnail since, but in Brazil it's like 15% and still growing just because I used the GTA 6 style. So I had that in mind. But that's 1 out of 10. Most uploads are, unfortunately for me, because I should do more what you just said, which is like do the thumbnail. The title, I actually write the title with the script. I write maybe 3 or 4 different alternatives so that I can weave that into the script. Whilst giving some options to change. But the thumbnail is just something I don't
just
work on.
It's just for a quick second, we'll pivot back. I just noticed in Gling got an update that it now scans your channel and recommends you videos for you to make. Like it gives you titles and ideas based off your history. I thought that was crazy. Let's circle back though. David, I think don't discount the voice element. And I hope this doesn't sound like creepy or weird, but my YouTube watching history from like a couple of years ago centered around the atmosphere that the person speaking created with the sound of their voice and the tone and the measured approach. Like there was a particular YouTuber, Golden Reviewer. I don't know if you've ever heard of him, Alex. He was quite prominent in doing gaming comparisons and process and camera comparisons.
Yeah, I remember.
And like he didn't over-engineer his videos, but he had this pleasurable voice to listen to. Very soothing. And I just thought and his information was good. So like it sort of matched up and aligned with stuff I wanted to know.
100% agree on that.
Don't discount the voice element. Alex, yours too, if I'm being honest. Yours was another one where the voice and the soothing tone sort of helped generate the atmosphere of the video.
Sometimes I get comments saying you should do ASMR stuff.
Yeah, but I think that definitely plays a part in it. A good audio experience complements and allows people to enjoy it.
One of my first comments recently on your videos, David, was like, what have you done? Because I can now enjoy listening to the audio is better. It definitely it's a big part of the video, big part.
Yeah, and next year I'm going to spend more money on investing. I've now got some processing going on as I'm recording, and that's definitely helped. And I will improve the mic. Everything is as we all know, it's all tweaks all the time.
Yeah,
and,
that's your unfair advantage, right? That people talk about.
Yeah, exactly that. You don't rest. And, the other half, my daughter's back last weekend, and she said, you just don't stop thinking about what's coming next. No, because if the minute you think something's good, you know it can be better. And, I know the improvements are made now. I know what the improvements have been. And okay, right, now I can build on that.
Double down on it. And
exactly that. And just to what you were saying, Daniel, about the sort of the set and the scene, I've had so many people talk about the candle that I normally have going behind me. It's so soothing. It just makes us feel like we're just sitting there. End of the day, we can just, relax. Oh, fine. If I can, because particularly if we all go back to lockdown, but even, recently, I sit down and I just really enjoy it. I love going into when I sit and watch a video. I love just going into that person's life, their studio, and just hanging out. That's when I first started watching YouTube regularly and tech YouTube. That was what I really enjoyed, just spending time with. And that's exactly what you were saying about your vlog styles, Alex, is that once people buy into you, then they will want to invest in you.
It's
and just
amazing what
makes
the
your day
engagement there,
tick.
even though it might be lower numbers in terms of views, but the relationship there is very honest, right? Because people are talking about, sometimes, I mean, you don't want to share too much on the same tech YouTube channel, I don't think, right? It's my opinion, but I think, you know, it's nice to keep some things a bit of a mystery, right? So what does he do outside of YouTube? Maybe just have that curiosity still there protected in a way.
I still haven't shared on my channel that I used to work for Samsung. Like, I still have kept that part on the channel away from my subscribers. On Twitter and here, I'm a bit more open about it. But I feel like at the minute I sort of let that out, some of the mystique around how I know so much kind of dissolves. And I think, he only knows that because he works there and I used to work there. And
it's a good shout to protect that. Yeah.
So I've kept that away from the channel. But here I can be a bit more open about the Twitter followers, because they're people who've like gone the extra mile to want to get to know me a little bit. So I agree.
And I think, you know, and my audience in Brazil is even more open to that sort of stuff. You know, they're actively asking me to do more behind the scenes stuff, to courses. I mean, I never had, I have maybe one or two in my over 3 years now on YouTube, ask me, oh, how did you do that? Can you teach me how to do it? Because I think in the Western sort of civilization, you know, we get more access to loads of tutorials that we can understand because it's in English. In Brazil, there's a big gap of, it's like, how did you do that? Can you? I will buy your course. People are saying, can you do a course? It's like, okay, or share more about the behind the scenes stuff. And it's like, sure.
When I started off the channel, that's why it's called Tech and Audio. I was making audio tutorials in Audition because I had a reasonable knowledge of that. I love the software. I'd learned.
I need to pick your brain there, David, because I'm using Audio Director, and it's a lengthy process that takes too long. And I have Audition.
Anytime.
I have no idea what I'm doing in there. So
you got to use Audition. Yeah.
We'll hook up. We'll talk about that. Yeah, anytime. Over Christmas, get in touch with me. We'll sort and talk about that.
Okay.
But then that's what I said last week when people were saying this little bit that I did. And I hadn't used a ScreenFlow. It's a brilliant bit of software, ScreenFlow. And I bought it to do the tutorials. And I had to sort of suddenly refresh my skill set last week to do it. Because I thought otherwise it's going to be a camera over my shoulder. It's not going to look good. Right. And I just said, you're going to come into my world now. This is how I go about making a thumbnail, from camera to Lightroom to Photoshop. And then briefly, you know, this is how it happens. And people love it because we assume, because we know it's easy. But we will have to teach ourselves. Even the dimensions of the thumbnail, you have to go and originally find what's the best, you know, size pixels you need to the right size for a thumbnail, and, you know, everything that we take for granted. But and as much as I'd love to make tutorials, I just know that they wouldn't necessarily, they'd be evergreen for sure.
Yeah, they're tank on most channels anyway. But I think, it's a mistake I learned very early on. It's like, I'll just do tutorials, because that's what a lot of people did. And I was like, okay, I'm not cut out for this. It's a lot of work. But you know, my next video in the Brazilian channel will have a lot of screen recordings and how to do routines and things like that on Samsung, which is, you know, it's quite a lot of screen recording. And it's just difficult. It's a lot of work.
And because of Daniel's knowledge that he's got, you could almost border on tutorials, because of the one time that I really had to sit and go step by step with you was when I got the flip. And once I got that and it was in my hands, I actually sat on the sofa. It was one Sunday afternoon, I clearly remember. I could have watched Mr. Beast, but I thought, no, I'm going to watch Daniel. And I put it on and I just sat there with my phone going through all the different steps that you were talking about, you know, getting to your Samsung account, everything about it when it was, you got the trackpad mode, you know, all of this.
Oh, yeah, the flex
and it was
mode,
like, geez, right now, all right. And then I started actually I was getting value from using the Samsung, because I'd sat and just watched through it. You went at a good speed, a really good cadence. So, you know, for people using Samsung, you are bordering, I would say, on tutorials. And when you said that you're going to, in between big releases, you'll double down on the pro modes and the different photo modes and the raw modes. And
S Pen,
that makes great sense. Yeah.
My two biggest videos on my channel, second and third, is how to use every S23 Ultra camera mode, showcased how to use it. And
long video, I bet, as well.
30 something minutes, I think that was 31 minutes.
Wow.
And that's got 270 something thousand. And
holy moly.
the guide to Dex, how to use every mode of Samsung Dex.
You love Dex. I watched. You had a sponsored video recently, didn't you? For
Did
display or
espresso,
and that was
espresso
using
display.
Dex.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They said they sent it out to me. They sponsored the video. I would probably I love that display. That they made me send it back, so I'm waiting for my model to arrive. But yeah,
Nice.
Dex on that with the battery pack, sensational. And I love things that make Dex better. I wish Samsung would make Dex accessories like a laptop or a dock or something. They kind of just make it and let it exist. Whereas there's so many things that you could make to make Dex better. They just haven't put any attention to it.
And Alex, you know what I mean? Sitting there listening to him now, it was just like we walked into one of his. That's the enthusiasm that you got. It's just, bang, Dex, and he's off.
Yeah,
you really want it. You really love it.
That's why the channel works, right? There's knowledge, there's passion, and it's just, you don't have to force it, right? It just comes out. It's brilliant.
Yeah. 8 years of working there helps.
Put it to good use. That's why you take that paycheck, learn, and move on.
Yeah.
One other thing, I think I'm the only one of the three that was hit by the invalid traffic thing this year, right? Which is odd because I'm the smallest channel here, earning next to nothing. But
I was sitting there waiting for it because I was getting the comments that everyone was getting. The bot comments. I was like, "This is obviously not a real comment. This is not a real comment." You saw it, and I was waiting. I was checking every day, and then it never came. So I'm curious, is it? Do you think it's resolved?
Another wave.
Oh, has there?
It's just literally last week,
really?
or earlier this week. One of the guys who
wave of comments.
Pardon?
A wave of comments.
No, a wave of you've been hit by the thing, the invalid traffic.
Brutal.
Thing, which is a bit of a misnomer, right? Because it's not really invalid traffic. It's just ads. In my view, YouTube trying to recoup some of the problems they had with advertising. And hitting creators in the process, right? But I think, luckily I haven't had that. But a guy who had a problem in the summer saw his revenue come back to normal in the last 2 months, and just now is being hit again. And
what's the content of video that they're making? Is it within the tech space as well?
Is in the it's more like cybersecurity tech videos, so all products around protecting stuff.
There's a couple of points because I did get hit. I opened up Studio one day and there it was at the top of the screen, and they call us partner programs. At times it doesn't feel very much for a partnership, does it? They can at any time just rip that away with no reason.
You're dealing with robots.
If they want to earn money, they can just take our earnings away and use our earnings. I'm not saying there's all sorts of theories out there. My biggest problem was, say I've been earning regularly, let's say $2,000 a month, and suddenly I saw that fall off the face. Okay, I would know I've been hit. My problem was I was earning pennies before it hit. And okay, now I've got, I'm earning a few £100s a month, but I don't know if it would be more. That's my big, and that's a very personal problem to me because I was earning so little when it hit. I don't know if I'd be earning more than I'm earning now, or if that is now cleared. And they don't put a ban on, say, you're free of the invalid traffic clause.
We obviously don't need to. We shouldn't talk about it here, but I think a number to look for is your CPM, and see if that's changed. Right, I think it's normal to increase around the tech season, right, October to now, so it will be slightly higher than the rest of the year. But as long as that hasn't changed too much, then that
that's a good indication.
One
not the
barometer
final,
to go by.
Not the final number. Yeah, in the revenue tab,
the
Studio.
RPM.
Yeah, because that will tell you how much advertisers are paying. Yeah, so
also look for where the video, the geographics of the video too. That definitely plays a part. Some markets have different revenue than others, and that can also alter it. So you're gonna probably have to do a little bit of sleuthing through to see.
I'll go and check. Yeah, I'll go and check on the revenue numbers. I hadn't thought of looking there.
There's one aspect of that really worried me actually was that this guy. I mean, I won't mention who he is, but. Because one of the problems he had was the fact that he was very vocal on Twitter about the problem. So he was sharing screenshots and saying this is horrendous, YouTube. What are you doing? And recently he's been approached by a sponsor who said, "Have you resolved your problem with being shadow banned on YouTube?" That was the question from the sponsor to him, just based on his tweets. And he had to educate the sponsor, going, "No, that's not the case, right? I was hit by this problem, and this is the problem, how it happened for a lot of creators. It's nothing to do with being shadow banned, and my views are still the same. There's it's like, so that scared me a little bit, because I was like, because I've been vocal about it as well, even though it didn't hit me. I was like, I've been supporting a lot of creators, and if it happened to me, I'm not sure I would be quiet about it. I mean, how can you be, right? It's your business, and you're working hard for it, and you're being hit by something that's outside of your control. So
as bad as this is going to sound, it needs to happen to someone that's big,
massive,
for them to take it sort of a bit more seriously. Because the longer time, I feel like you did. It needs, and it sounds awful because it needs, like, you don't want it to hit someone, but for there to be anything done about it, it needs to impact someone that YouTube were like, okay, we actually need to do something about it now.
Do you think, though,
another creator? Sorry, David.
I was just wondering. Yes, I totally agree with you. It needs to be one of those big names that gets hit. But do you think that YouTube would let it happen? I don't know. If we're to believe it's purely algorithmic,
this is the thing, right? One
are they going to protect those top creams?
He's not got a million subs yet. But yeah, he was vocal as well about it. He did got hit by this problem, but after he was vocal about it, he kind of went away, and he never actually saw any revenue problems. So that conspiracy, right? Well, if you can call it, but that theory sounds like he's right? It depends on who he is. If he's like, okay, you're a small channel, whatever, you can be noisy as much as you want. We're not going to care. I'm hoping that's not the case, right? I'm hoping there's some, like, maybe it's a glitch in the system. Maybe there's not a human like saying, yeah, this guy doesn't matter, because that would just be fully wrong, right?
But think of it, if we were to say that, because of the problem, we know that YouTube got into problem with the advertisers during the year, that advertisers weren't happy with how they were placing ads on
public,
it.
Right?
Yeah. So let's say they lost a bootload of money and YouTube needed to make money quickly. They could either go and hit one really big channel that's going to make a massive video about it and make everybody know what's going on.
Around.
Exactly. All the little low ones. Yeah, you tell me. With a third of the world or something watching YouTube, it's pretty easy to pick out small creators and say, okay, we'll take a few $100 here, and no one will notice. They're too small to make a ripple in. I don't know.
Yeah, or it's me, kind of my more maybe on the positive side of things. I'm kind of thinking a bit about it, knowing how some of these massive system changes could kind of derail other things. It's just the fact that they have changed the advertising on YouTube right now. So those changes.
Exactly.
His camera's gone.
Oh, Alex is
okay. My camera's gone. I'll talk because I think the audio's still going, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So for the audio viewers,
one thing I would think too, that if the advertisers, like, let's say YouTube's hitting them for invalid traffic and pegging back their revenue. If I was an advertiser, I'd be going to YouTube and saying, hey, the views that aren't organic, or they're not real, or it's invalid, give me my money back. Like, I'd be asking YouTube back as well. Like, hopefully the train sort of goes back. So maybe it's not, maybe YouTube aren't just holding it back for themselves. There's potential. If I was an advertiser, I know that's what I'd be doing. I'd be knocking down the door saying, hey, if this is invalid, why am I still paying you?
There was a video that Alex put me onto, a guy from New York, I seem to remember. Yeah,
I'll show the video again. Yeah, he's
and he we're back, and he was very much of the opinion that wasn't it that he said that Google turned around and said, we haven't got data on that. So the data company of the world said, we can't find out the data on what the adverts replace.
That just reminds me of Boris Johnson saying his WhatsApp's got deleted. Sure, mate.
Yeah, magically. But in summary, I mean, it's a court process, and he's gone through a lot of, there's a whole dossier of information. But in summary, advertisers were saying to YouTube, you are showing my adverts on devices that can't play the adverts. So you can see, right, the device that the playback was played on was on stuff that has no speakers, for example, or it was minimized to a certain extent that the viewer is not even watching the ad, or it was using an ad blocker or whatever. So there's all these different reasons why I'm paying for an ad that's not being shown, and you're charging me for it, right? So that impression that you're charging me for never happened, and there's data to prove it. Yeah, so they were in trouble, and I think that, I don't know if the court process is still going on or whatever, but yeah, they were found guilty of, kind of misplacing ads.
I mean, I was in as I said, I could have got really sort of hacked about it, really pissy about it, but because I was earning sod all anyway, it made no difference to me. So I was kind of in a lucky position. And one of the things I've learned this year was, because the main revenue for me is from writing on Medium. That again is a whole nother story. But once that algorithm got changed and messed about with, I kind of took it on the chin and thought, right, I can either just moan or go away and try and learn to write better. And I've had a few bits of luck for sure, but equally, because I went away and tried to improve my style of writing, I've seen that go through the roof. The money that's landing this month is twice the amount I've ever earned. So, I mean, it's big. And, you know, that just goes to show that with YouTube, I'm thinking at sometime next year, things will level out. If I just keep on improving what I'm doing, getting the community that we've talked about, delivering to people each week, being regular, all of that stuff, just do the hard yards, it will clear. And at that point, okay, I'll be getting a bit of reward and thinking, okay, I can live with that. That's fine. You know, I can't beat YouTube. There's no point in getting angry with it. It will come back at some point, right?
I'm a strong believer that, you know, if you do something that is working right now, even if it's a tiny bit of improvement, like a 1% improvement in every week or whatever, and you see that that's working, then there's no way that doing it for a long time is not going to, you know, you're not going to be successful at it. So I think it's just a case of being patient with it. What I like hearing what you told us today was the fact that you went after, rather than giving up, so, you know, the YouTube is not for me. You went after the data, and you kind of still trying to figure out, you know, why is it not working?
Yeah.
And it looks like you found, you know, what it is that is working, and you're kind of acting on it, which
I think that's
awesome.
That's the biggest mistake I see a lot of other small creators are making, is that they don't pivot or try and change their behavior of what they're doing. They just sort of just keep making the same thing and then go, why is it not working? Whereas
I'll try again the same thing, and it doesn't work. So I'll try again the same thing.
Yeah.
Whereas what you've done, David, is you've innovated the way you're processing and doing things and using information to grow it, and it's working.
It is. It's you know, I've knocked myself for being too thick to do it sooner, but sometimes you just need that little push up the backside. And luckily, I've sat with Alex sometimes, and we've gone through his data, and I've come away, and of course that drive back, I'm thinking, okay, I need to go and look at that, and you just pick up bits. And just when you sit with somebody and talk to people, and I know on my ProRes video a couple of weeks back down, you picked up and said you actually care. You said, I'll just try and change the thumbs, do that, and you know, and if by chatting with people and just bouncing ideas around, and then equally, all that data is there for us to look at. And when I realised that all of the people watching me, 45, 65 in the States, meant they probably got a little bit more disposable income. So if I make a video about the studio display, that's possibly the market. Somebody else having a bad day. That's possibly the market that is has got $1,500 spare. You know, maybe the younger people that start out.
Target audience point is such a light bulb, right? I mean, I don't think I looked at it recently, but yeah, it's such a light bulb, because once you know who you're talking to,
exactly.
That's the
early on. They also about this avatar that you're supposed to have, but you know, it became so crystal clear. Out of interest, guys, I noticed that my last couple of videos, the biggest find for me has been the homepage. Where's it for you?
Browse features.
Because I was landing on their home, which I thought was
hands down for me in my studio for my content is the browse features. That's
which obviously for your content figures, isn't it? Because you're going to sit down and say, I want to learn about the flip or the
like, for example, the smart tag video that I did, which is on 22.2 thousand, that's YouTube search. Actually, I lie. Galaxy Buds FE. What's that at? External. Oh, geez, what's happening here? Everything's
that'll be Google search. External is Google search.
External's Google search. Okay, S23 versus S23 FE. Browse features is the top traffic source. So external is the second, suggested videos is third. So browse features is usually my number one. That's where people are kind of just browsing through and they'll see my thumbnail and click on it.
Yeah, mine is browse features and then YouTube search but mine was S24 Ultra, which is very searchy targeted anyway. So that makes sense. But my normal review, I don't know. My normal one that did well is probably like the iPhone 15 Pro Max versus. Actually, no, it was the 15 Pro Max with what's that button called? The action button.
Oh yeah.
So that one, the source was YouTube recommendations, which is home, It's 50, or 65% from the home screen.
That's
Wow.
what I was getting this week. I was getting that sort of 65 on the home,
Yeah.
and I thought, and I'm one of the odd ones. I watch most of my YouTube on the TV at home, so it's big 55-inch up on the wall
That
kind
is
of thing.
Oh,
So
that's
my
a good stat
homepage.
as well. Yeah. How many people watch your videos from a TV?
I haven't looked at that actually. I haven't looked at that. The last one I did look was mobile, but because I'm on a TV, the homepage to me is actually a really good spread because of course it's freaking huge.
I hate
Yeah.
the
See
YouTube
loads of
TV
people-
homepage. I hate it. It's
Oh,
not.
the
There's
apps,
not.
yeah.
There's not enough on there on the TV app. I feel like there's not, like on a phone you can just keep scrolling and it just keeps refreshing with new stuff. On the TV, it sort of is stuck and fixed to what it's showing you. Yeah, I hate it. That's just probably because I'm 33.
I was surprised. I mean, in Brazil is even more, but I think it's like 15% on my main channel people watch on the telly, and in Brazil is something like 30%. I was shocked by how many people watch my stuff on the TV.
While we're talking numbers in the studio, then again, hopefully this is the kind of thing that people are interested in listening about. But it'd be interesting as a comparison. Click-throughs on decent videos. What sort of click-throughs are you getting?
It's if it starts at something like 15-16%, I know it'll carry through, but it sort of tapers off and averages around 7 and 8%.
Yeah, that's right. I've never had 15. Even on day one, I had 15. I'm around about the 7, 8. Last week I hit 11 for a short time. Then it set. What did you say?
Yeah.
Down about.
I don't know what it is with my channel. My channel always kicked off at around 15, so much so that if one of them starts at below 10, I panic. And I change the thumbnail.
I'm the same. So if I get a below 10 starting like within the first couple of hours, it's like, something's not working here.
So 12, 13 at the beginning, I'm a bit bummed because I know over time it will go below 10. It will go below like 8, 9. Only the bangers go down to 7 or 8 because the impressions are like millions of impressions, right? So you're getting 7, 8%
percentages of
So I don't care about those because I get so many views, right? But for a normal video that I don't know, I'm aiming to get 15, 20,000 views, I would expect to stabilize at around 10%. But if it starts off at 10, I'm panicking because my channel has always been really
My highest videos 300,000. That peaked at in the first 24 hours. It peaked at 17% and had about 14.3. And then over time it stabilized and it's at 7.8%. It's kind of just trickled at that point. It's had the amount of impressions is scary. It's had like 2.8 million impressions, which is
millions of impressions. Yeah,
that's just insane to think about.
Do you find on the first 24, 48 hours you're getting good impressions?
I think that varies.
Yeah. Some like the video I released last week, which was the top 10 Samsung accessories. There was a period overnight where the impressions went skyrocketed up, but the views didn't match it. So that showed me that it was getting shown to people, but they didn't identify with what they saw. So I changed the thumbnail, but by that point, I think it was a bit late. YouTube probably aren't going to push it at that point after that.
The boat sailed, yeah.
I'm not bothered because I knew that I wanted to put something out there. It was an experiment, really. I had a shop link in there from Amazon and some accessories that I talked about to try and link the two together. So
it's fascinating to look at exactly the same video in two different countries, right? And see how their CTR works. It's just and the impressions is the same video. But the thumbnail for a starter didn't work in one market, but it worked on the other. It's just crazy how
you
it
can
varies.
have some fun with these two channels. You can have a lot of fun.
Yeah,
I'm using the Brazil one almost as an experiment, not just from a thumbnail and title, but also as a bit of an outlet for creativity. I'm doing a lot more chill down stuff in Brazil, which I was like, okay, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. The channel is very young.
I was going to say you've almost developed your own A/B testing.
But there's a lot that goes into it, right? Because I know
test the Brazilian water and then bring it over.
Yeah,
it's
I
a
can't
brilliant
compare
idea.
too much because I think it's they're very different niches. Even though it's tech, they're very. It feels to me like I'm in a different niche almost.
But I know we have mentioned it before, and certainly when I was with you during the summer, you said that the quality of content a lot of Brazilian viewers were getting just wasn't there. So you've come in, seen a gap, boom.
I'm actually getting contacted by some of these big channels now. Say, hey, do you want to collab? It's like, oh, sure. These are like 3 million.
Wow.
I wouldn't dream
Yeah.
of a 3 million size channel, in English contacting me. It's just crazy.
So we've talked good today. We've really talked some good stuff. But before we kind of wrap up, I thought we could just mention also there's a good chance that the three of us might get in a room together next year.
We might.
I don't mean that sound ominous, not like in fight
That'd
kind of
be
situation.
amazing. I mean, you're coming almost
Daniel's
within
coming over
minutes
to
of
the
the
UK.
studio here, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
I read on WhatsApp where you're coming, and I thought, so I knew that was in Alex's neck of the woods, which is only an hour away from where I am. So
we're going to be in London for a couple of days first, and then my wife.
do you land at Heathrow?
We're going to land at Heathrow, yeah.
You're 20 minutes away from me.
We land at
I'll come have a coffee with you when you land.
5:55 in the morning, so it's going to be fun with
let's not have a
two
coffee.
kids. The plan is to stay in London for a couple of days. I was hoping to get to a Premier League game, but the last game of the season is the Sunday, and we're going to be in the Cotswolds then. My wife's always wanted to stay in the Cotswolds, and I know we're going to be close to you, Alex. So we want to stay. She's found an Airbnb.
We've got to have lunch or something.
She's found an Airbnb somewhere in there. And we're going to stay there probably, I think, 4 nights, and then we're going to head off to Italy and do the south coast of Italy.
Brilliant!
Which
Right,
should be
it's early summer. Let's make sure we sort that out and get it done.
Oh yeah, it's my wife's already. She's already on board with it, so we'll be there for sure.
Sweet.
And
I'm looking forward to it. I read it this morning. I thought,
I haven't got to submit any annual leave to anyone because Alex, I haven't told you yet, but I quit my job yesterday. So
yay!
Yeah, I'll be
amazing
full time on this YouTube thing in January, which is just
hell, man! Congratulations, that's a big one. That's huge.
Exciting times.
Congrats, man!
Thank you.
Yeah, it's going to be a good year for us, I reckon. It's going to be a good year for us.
Yeah, I think next year the three of us will obviously get together on a podcast again. So maybe we can do one when I'm over there. Hey,
that's what I'm thinking.
There's a thought.
That's what I'm hoping.
Done.
Yeah,
we could even possibly think of doing it live or something. I don't know, but because we're all in the same room together, so.
Yeah, I'm on board with that.
I'll tell you, when we get in Alex's studio, the amount of cameras that are firing around is kind of scary at times. There's these sliders shooting at you, and there's cameras overhead.
Some work, some don't, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
So yeah, hopefully
I'm gonna go over there and just be like, this is what a real YouTuber studio looks like, not this corner of my bedroom that I'm sitting in.
Not at all.
It's great for nicking things. I always film the boots before I leave the studio. I've got so much visibility over here.
Don't be surprised if there's any like USB-C docks or anything that just you don't have when I come. So
charging bricks,
that's fine.
You won't miss that cable. That's fine. You won't need that.
Exactly.
And hopefully what we can do before that, once January's got out of the way and you've kind of had a taste of what Samsung have done, maybe we can think about getting you back on, having a chat, February time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
See what the shakedown's been, yeah?
Yep.
Awesome, guys. Okay, so lots to go through this one. Thanks for sorting out the time with us, Daniel. It's been fantastic.
Thanks for having me again.
And it's been a real crack.
Yes.
Crack. Yeah.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Go and enjoy your 33 degrees of Christmas heat.
Yeah, I'll be on a cruise sailing through the South Pacific Islands. So,
see, they say YouTubers don't work hard.
Yeah,
I mean, Jesus.
Just sipping some
living that
cocktails,
top life,
having some fun. So, yes.
Stop it. We hate you now.
Yeah, you and your bloody tan. Yeah. Guys, it's been fantastic. We'll be back with you. I think we'll be back in. Actually, I've got to talk about that because it's very near to Christmas and New Year, in theory, the next one. So we'll possibly be back in 2 weeks' time. We'll see what we can do. But we're certainly back very soon indeed. So don't forget, if you're enjoying it, do get in touch with us and subscribe. And keep forgetting, we need to give the channel more love, but we love making this podcast. So,
share and subscribe.
Do what you can for us. We love making it. So we'll see you all very soon, Daniel. Yeah, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, guys.
Cheers.